Great. Welcome everyone to another localized event. If you are new to the localized community, we are so happy to have you here. If you're coming back, we're so grateful you're still part of the community. But if you are new, Localized, we are a global platform where we connect students and recent graduates from emerging markets, so especially the regions of Latin America, Middle East, Africa, and Southeast Asia to job opportunities and career resources. So part of the career resources are these events we host with experts from all over the world who are here to guide you in your transition from university to your professional careers, or if you are a recent graduate and you're already working or looking for a job, this also helps you answer all of the questions that you might have regarding what type of position do I want to apply to, or what are some of the tips that I might need to get a career in X industry. So that's what we do. And as you might know already, today we're going to be talking about product management. And so we have Ronke with us. She's an amazing and super dear expert in our platform. She has been with us for a few years now. And she's a global expert on product management. So I won't share a lot about you because we will have some questions about your journey, I'm sure, after your presentation. But she is the former director of product at Promevo, and she has actually her own website where she shares a lot of resources, articles, and a lot of things and guides to help you in your careers in product management. I will share that link in the chat and also on the event page. So you can go ahead and check all the articles and resources she has. But yes, I guess we can go ahead and start. We're going to be talking about 15 lessons to succeed as a product manager. So I will go and pass it on to you, Rocky.
Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you guys for having me. Let me go ahead and share my screen and we can go ahead and get started. Okay? All right. Can everybody see my screen here? Hopefully.
Yes, we can see the presentation.
Awesome. Okay, awesome, everybody. Like I said, thank you for having me. So as Michelle said, I'm Ronke Majekodunmi, former director of product at my last company is Promevo that I worked at. Just like everybody else, I'm sort of laid off right now, so I'm looking for a new role. For most of my career, a little bit about me. For most of my career, I've worked in the fintech industry. I've helped to build B2B platforms, B2C platforms, and B2D platforms. And it's actually been quite rewarding to be able to help to build those. So I want to start my presentation today by just going over this quote. This is one of my favorite quotes by John Quincy Adams. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you're a leader. And as a product manager, at the end of the day, that's what you are. You're a leader. And those people that you have to inspire and bring along with you in the journey are your cross-functional partners. You know, your engineering team, your direct reports, your leadership, and of course your marketing partner, and on and on and on. If you're working large huge organizations, you're going to be working with 10 cross-functional teams that are going to help you to release your product, and you have to lead them, right? So that at the end of the day, that's what you're doing, you're leading. So that's why I kind of wanted to start with this John Quincy Adams quote. And then over here I just kind of wanted to mention this: great product leaders are made because to me they are self-effacing, and the experiences and lessons that they've learned along the way kind of nourish and shape and form who they are as a person and as leaders. Every product management job that you're gonna have, every team you're gonna work with are gonna shape you. They're gonna nourish you. They're gonna make you a better leader. So I just kind of wanted to pass that along. So let's talk about the 15 things I wish I knew, honestly. All these things I wish I knew when I was starting out in product management. I just sort of gained experiences as I moved along in my career. So, passion. You have to be passionate about your product. And the reason why that's important is because if you don't love your product and you're not passionate about it, your cross functional team, they will know it, they'll see it. right? Because don't forget, you have to get them excited about it, right? You have to, even the most mundane things, even if it's the most even if it's like the most boring project, you still have to have a passion for your product. You have to be able to get them to see the larger picture by building this feature. Oh, here's how we're going to impact our customers' lives. Here's the customer value, here's the business value that it's going to that will be an outcome, right, as a result of this. So it's really important to have passion. And another reason why passion is so important, you are the face of your product, right? So every time that you go to present, if you don't even are not even excited about it, nobody else will be. So even down to your customers. So passion is important. And then number two, I put get a mentor. I really advise this for everybody. Actually, I advise this for everybody, no matter what industry you're in, right? It's so important to have a mentor, especially when you're starting out as a product manager, and you want somebody who's going to not only be invested in you, in your career, professionally and personally, but also somebody who's going to be really honest with you, right? Somebody who you're gonna listen to and take their expert advice, right? Because you're starting out. So for me personally, I have five mentors, right? When I first started out, and I still have them actually. And I still have them in my life. I still ask them for advice, and it's been many, many years. So ask a mentor because it's okay. You're not supposed to have all the answers. Um, Ask for help. So when I first started out as a PM, I noticed this a lot even now with new product managers, aspiring product managers that I mentor. There's that feeling of I have to figure this out by myself. No, you don't. It's okay. Ask for help. In every organization, even now, many years into product management, I still ask for help. Any organization that I join, if I don't know something, I'm gonna raise my hand. I'm gonna go find somebody who can help me answer those questions. So always ask for help. Um, and it's okay to say I don't know something. So as a PM, I'll be in stand up with my engineering team. They'll ask me a question. Hey, Ronke, do you know blah 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 blah? Do you know the answer to this? And if I don't know it, I say to them, I don't know it. And the reason why this is important is because if you lie or if you make up something, you lose credibility. So it's just easier to just say, I don't know it, but I'll go get you the answers. I'll go figure it out. I'll go do the research, right? And that comes up a lot, by the way, because as a product manager, you have to be strategic and tactical. And the tactical side of the house, when people are asking you questions, you may just not have the answer, and that's okay. Number five, it's okay to only have some of the answers. Though, so the reason why I put this here is because you could be on a call with a customer, and this has happened to me many, many times, where I'm on a call with a client or customers, and I have my colleagues around me or whatever the case might be, and a customer might ask a question. I only have part of the answer right then and there. That's okay. This is part of as I call it, adulting, right? Is customers are it's okay. You can't anticipate or guess what everybody's gonna ask you in a meeting. So it's okay to say, listen, these are some of the answers that I have right now, but I wasn't aware of the other thing. I'll go back and I'll figure it out. I'll do some research and I'll get back to you. Nothing wrong with that at all. There are some questions in a customer meeting. Customer will say to me, "Oh, I try to do these things," and I'm like, "Oh, I understand that it works, blah 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 blah, but this other part of it, let me go do some research for you. Let me go test it for you. Let me test it on my end first, and I'll come back to you." Certainly acceptable. Again, credibility here, right? And trust. So make friends and build a coalition. What do I mean by this? Okay. So when you work whether you work in a medium-sized company, a large company, or even small organizations, you need people to work with you, but you need to bring them along in the journey. So you need design, you need engineering, right? You need marketing, you need legal. In large organizations, you might need a team called risk, a team called compliance, a team called policy, and on and on and on and on. make friends with them, right? Get to know them. I've been known to have coffee in the afternoons with my partners from other teams. And the reason is because if I get to know them and make friends with them, then it's easier for me to help to bring them along in the journey and build a coalition. The reason why that matters is because you're gonna have a difference in ideas on how to execute and get your product released. You just are. That's just the way life is. Everybody thinks differently. But remember, at the end of the day, nobody comes to work and says, you know what, I'm gonna make the wrong decisions today for my company. Nobody does that. So it's just we all execute differently, right? So because we all execute differently, you want to understand where they're coming from, right? You want to understand what their KPIs are and why they are voicing their concern. And one thing you also want to remember is if they're not invested, if they don't care, they wouldn't voice their opinion. So you have to build a coalition. You have to get all these teams to come with you on this journey to build this product, to build this feature. But you need to make some friends. And it's easier to bring people with you because when you bring people with you, when they buy into, again, this is where that passion comes in. When they see your passion and they understand the story and understand the customer value and the business value, they'll come with you. So leaders lead, right? So you want to lead. So here I have what is the right fit? Product led versus engineering led. So this one is really important. When I was first starting out as a product manager, I didn't pay a lot of attention to this. And here's why that's important. Engineering led organizations, the customer is not at the center. The customer is not at the center of the decisions being made. I am very product led. I'm very customer obsessed. I like the customer to be at the center of every decision that we're making. So what does that mean? Well, it means I'm going to go out and do research. I'm going to go out and talk to customers. I'm going to form an advisory board. I'm going to do a focus group. I'm going to do something called a day in the life to try to understand how to use my product. I'm going to understand the jobs to be done. So that means that the customer's needs are always front and center for me and my team. Like, okay, what do we need to build? How do we need to build it? Right? Engineering led, the customer is not always at the center of every conversation. There's nothing wrong with that. There are successful engineering led organizations. Engineering led also means the product manager is not at the front and center helping to lead those decisions. Again, nothing wrong with those organizations. It's just the one for me. So, and it took me some time to kind of figure that out in my career. So I highly recommend kind of understanding where you are before you go into different organizations and ask questions. Ask lots of questions. Ask questions like, who's creating the roadmap right now? Is it the engineering team or is it the product team? Who creates the product vision and the product strategy? Is it the engineering team or is it the product team? Right? Always ask those questions and really make sure that you're comfortable where you are. Depending on the type of organization that you prefer to work at. And again, please remember, there's nothing wrong with engineering-led organizations. They just weren't for me because I'm more product-led, right? Um, you gotta make decisions. Um, you have to make decisions. But remember, so there's something called paralysis by analysis, right? Which is when people kind of drag, because product managers don't make decisions. They drag it out, they drag it out. Their cross-functional partners are waiting for them. Please don't be that way. Make decisions. And it's okay. You may fail. And if you fail, you'll, you know, you'll rebound. You'll say to your team, okay, no problem. This didn't work out. We're going to try something else. And you'll rebound. But you must make decisions. Part of your job as a product manager is to make decisions, and you must make them because your cross-functional team are waiting for you, right? And they need you to make decisions so that they can then execute. So that's important. Own mistakes and failures. You're going to fail, and it's okay. When I say you're going to fail, your decisions may not work out. Your team may try something and it may not work out. They may try a proof of concept and it doesn't work out. That's okay. Celebrate failures with your team, right? So if you try something, an experiment, a proof of concept, and it doesn't work out, I always celebrate those with my team. I'll bring in cupcakes and stuff because at least they tried. And also, if you reward them if you celebrate failures, they are going to try, they're going to continue to try again and try again and try again and try again, right? Until they get it right. And that's important because that's how you innovate and it's okay for those mistakes to happen and failures to happen. You own it and you move on. What I will advise here is never blame anybody, never blame your team if something doesn't work out. Just say it doesn't work out. We're gonna try something else. And this is part of innovating, especially as a product manager. This is part of leading, is you have to own mistakes and failures. You just have to own it and move on, right? But you have to make decisions. Here I have elevate your interdisciplinary partner teams. So this is your cross-functional team, right? I I've been known whenever I present to my leadership, I always have a slide that has the name of every team that I've worked with and their role. And the reason why I have that slide is because I want my leadership to know that I didn't build this on my own, right? I didn't. But like, these are my village. These are my cross-functional partners who helped me to build this product, this feature. And it's important that they should be acknowledged. This is important because it builds trust with your cross-functional teams. It means they know that you care and that you value their efforts. So elevate your teams. So I always do that. Use your voice. Please use your voice. When you know something's going wrong, when you sense something's not right, when you know something's wrong, speak, use your voice. Talk to your manager. Say something. If you know that the team is headed on the wrong way on a feature, say something. Not only do you save your organization millions, thousands of dollars, but you help your team as well. Say something. Your future aspirations. I added this here because when you are starting out as a product manager, there's some sort of this tendency to think that people will know what you want in the future. Like you're not gonna worry about it right now. You're just gonna focus on what you're doing right now, and that people understand and they know that, you want to be a manager or you want to move into a different kind of role. They don't. So you have to tell them. You have to, go to, talk to your manager when you have your meetings, your personal development meetings, and tell them what you aspire to be. If you're a junior PM right now, you want to be a senior PM, let them know that. Because that way they can also give you projects that will help you so that you can kind of gain those skills. There's this adage that to be in the job that you want, you have to be already doing that job. This is very true. This is very, very true. So if you want to be a senior PM or you're a junior PM, you need to let your manager know. You need to let your mentors know so that to they can help you get projects so that you can build skill sets to get into those roles. I have here take advantage of your skip level meetings. So everybody's for those on the call who don't know what a skip level is when your manager's manager, you have a meeting with them, right? So this tends to happen in a lot of organizations, and it's a great thing. It means that your manager's manager wants to know how things are going with you. They care, they're invested. So this is your opportunity to tell them what your future aspirations are. This is your opportunity to come in with a list of questions, to come in with a list of things that you've been doing, right? A list of projects that you've been working on. Why is this important? Your manager's manager is going to be the one to help decide whether or not you're promoted. So if you have skip levels with them, take advantage of it. So if you're a junior PM and you want to be a senior PM, that should be part of the conversation. You should be talking to them about that and saying, "Oh, I'm already working with my manager. This is my future aspiration. I want to become a senior PM and I want to manage this product or I want to move into this type of role." That should be part of your conversation. Remember, they can't read your mind. So you need to take advantage of your skip levels. It's okay to demonstrate gratitude. So I've worked with a lot of PMs. And for some strange reason, and I don't know why this is, I always say thank you a lot to my cross-functional team, right? I say thank you to my leadership. I say thank you in general. I just think it's a polite thing to do. And I guess not all PMs do that, or not everybody in general do that, and that's okay. But if you do, it is a good thing to show gratitude. It's a good thing to show your team that you appreciate them, and that yes, they're getting paid to be there, but you appreciate all the extra efforts that they put in to make your product a success. And the last, I just want to mention, it doesn't make you look weak to say thank you or be grateful. It's just, and by the way, the more gratitude you show, the more your team will love you because it shows that you care. So, and finally, please take a vacation. Um, you know, take a vacation. Um, Especially if you're new to being to your job as a PM, the tendency is to want to just do the job and not take any time off because you want to prove yourself. But it also doesn't work if you're burned out. So please take a vacation. All right, everybody. So I kind of want to leave you with these final thoughts. Lead purposefully. As a product manager, you are the leader, you're the epicenter of your organization. Lead with purpose. Lead with purpose. What I mean by that is don't just lead with a purpose. Either build your team, build your cross functional team, because if you build them and take care of them, they will take care of your customers. They'll build products and features. Empower the next generation. Remember, somebody paved the way for you. Somebody created the opportunity for you to be where you are. So pass it on and bring the next generation along with you. And lastly, perseverance. None of these are supposed to be easy. Product management is not easy. There's going to be days where you're going to be like, oh my God, why did I pick this career? I will tell you this, it is the most rewarding career I have ever had. I love being a product manager because I get to make a difference every day. But sometimes you have to persevere because things don't happen right away. Because it might, something might look impossible, but just persevere. Just keep going. Um, So I want to leave you with this. To become courageous, we must do the things that scare us. We're fortified as leaders by doing what was deemed impossible, allowing us to elicit change and making the journey much easier for others who want to walk the same path. You have to do the things that scare you. That's how we evolve. That's how we become better leaders. That's how we become better people. And remember, if you do the things that seem to be scary, you're going to pave the way, make it easier for the next person that's coming along behind you. So it's important. And remember, somebody did the scary thing, and that's why you are where you are today. Somebody did. So, my favorite books, I love books about leadership. These are my favorite books about leadership. I love, love, love books. I love to read. I love to listen to audiobooks. So these are my favorite books. They're on my websites under resources. I am a huge podcast fan. I love listening to podcasts, especially podcasts about product management, because I always want to hear what other product managers are thinking. What are they doing, right? So these are my favorite product podcasts. They're also on my website as well under resources. I recommend them. These are my favorite things to listen to. Thank you for having me. This is how you can find me. Super appreciate being able to present. I love this organization, localized. That's why every year I'm always bugging Michelle and everybody to let me present. So thank you so much for having me. I just love giving back and being of service to you guys. So thank you.
Thank you so, so much. and it's not bugging us. We're so happy to have you every year. This is the second time we have Ronke during this year, and it's only March. So we love Ronke. And it's amazing all the resources you always bring. So thank you so much. I do have some follow-up questions, and I love how almost every, I want to say almost every lesson and tip you gave, it applies actually to almost any career, even outside product management. Even I know we're talking about product management, but it generally applies to any career, any sector, and even like for personal life. I was like taking notes and and like taking those skills, interpersonal skills that can actually help you be a better team member, be a better team leader. So I think it was really insightful. Before I go ahead and start asking some questions that I have for you, I want to encourage everyone to send your questions. I see that someone has already started sending the questions, but if you haven't, this is the moment. We will answer them all live. So type the questions in the chat, or you can also send them in the Q&A function. It's in the it's below, like in the bottom part of your screen. You should be able to see it. Okay, so I will start and I will go ahead and start taking some questions. Can you actually help me taking down the slide for a minute,
Oh, yeah.
Ranky?
Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, actually, like to stop sharing for a second.
sure.
Yes,
Let
thank
me
you.
go ahead
Thank you
and,
so much.
yep, no problem.
Amazing. It's just so people, when they watch the recording, they can actually see you
Yeah,
speaking instead of.
yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So let's see. So we have some questions coming up from Nora. So they're sharing. So actually, when you were talking about becoming friends, taking coffee, taking the time with your team members, she sent a question when you were explaining that part. So that's related to that. So the question is it better for me to become friends with my team in a formal manner or just become friendly?
Um, okay, I'm gonna answer. Okay, it's up to you, but for me personally, my Scrum team are my family. So what I mean by that is, so I'll give an example. So every Wednesday on the calendar, my Scrum team and myself, the engineers and my designer and anybody else really, we all have lunch together every Wednesday at the same time, every day, every Wednesday. It's in a calendar. I schedule it. The reason I want to get to know them, right? So we just eat our lunch together and we sit outside and we just get to know each other. We talk about everything. And the reason is because I wanted to have a personal relationship with them other than just a work one, right? But that was just me. Um, every day around 3 o'clock, I normally go out for an afternoon coffee. I would ask one of the engineers to come with me. And we would either get coffee together. If they don't like coffee, they can get tea or something else. And we'd just sit there for like a couple of minutes, 30 minutes, and just chat. It was also my way of getting to know that particular engineer to see if there's anything going on with them that they're not comfortable bringing up and stand up, but comfortable bringing it to me. It's just one other thing I did, right? And I do that with every single um, engineer. I even did that with our designer as well. I would go out and have coffee with our designer, just walk the campus with our designer. My cross-functional team on the risk side, compliance side of the house, every one of those teams has a product manager who's my counterpart, and they have their own engineering team. I did the same thing. I would meet them for coffee. I would meet them for lunch, because I wanted to get to know them. Where that matters is, I'll give you this example. When I need to kick off on a project and my cross-functional partners seem to be on the call, especially my risk and compliance partners, I schedule a meeting for 9 a.m. in the morning. The reason why I do that is because at 8 o'clock, they're driving their kids to school. I don't want to schedule that meeting at 8 o'clock because number one, they might miss it. Number two, they're driving their kids to school. I don't want to schedule the meeting at 8:30 because that's their time. They're dropping their kids off at school and they're heading to work, right? They're not there 100% with me. 9 a.m. is when I'll schedule it. By then, they're already at work. Their kids are at school and they got to, you know what I mean? And I'm not disrupting that time. How did I know 9 a.m. was the right time? Because I had coffee with them or I had lunch with them and I got to know them and I got to understand that between 8 and 9, they were dropping their kids off at school. Just like at 4 o'clock, I have colleagues who are going to pick up their kids from school. I don't schedule a meeting at 4 o'clock. I may schedule it at 3. And if I have to schedule it at 4, I'm going to record it so that they can go listen to it later as a courtesy. That's what I mean, right? That taking that extra step, right, to get to know somebody. And another reason why this is important is this: they're going to leave your organization. You're going to leave your organization. And you never know when your paths are going to cross again. You never know if there's a job in a new organization that they are at that you're interested in. And if they remember you and they remember having a really good working relationship with you, they'll refer you. They'll be like, "Oh my God, yes, you have to hire that person." So you build, make friends.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I love how that lesson or tip actually helps not only on the workplace, like on the day-to-day basis, or like improve how you work with people, but also as a networking tool
Yeah,
without like purposely thinking of it like that.
yeah,
Without even trying to get something out of it. It's just like being nice and being like helpful as a team member, but it actually helps you to network as well.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Listen, right now, I there's a colleague of so my company, the company I was with a couple of years ago bought another company. And you know what usually happens when another company buys another company is, there's some animosity, there's we versus you. I wasn't that person. I just got to know everybody. One of those employees from the other company referred me for a job, and I just got the interview a couple of days ago. And it was just a nice relationship, and he just happens to be at that company. And it's like, oh my God, Ronke, absolutely. Let me refer you. It wasn't transactional. You see what I
right.
mean? But there's nothing wrong with making friends because you're gonna need each other one day. So why not? And I do the same thing for other people. I refer them as well. So
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. We have another question in the chat. So they're asking if the team I work with has some problems and their levels and goals differ greatly, what should I do? I guess I'm taking this as the manager or leader.
it's so the first thing I just always like to remind everybody, the reason why we all get up every single day to come to work is because we align with the core values of the organization. So start from there. I always start from the basics. This is the core value of our organization. We all align with it. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, great. And then let's figure out how to work together. And then I start with the customer value. Do we all align with this customer value? Like this is why we're building what we're building for this particular customer value to achieve this outcome. If we get everybody agreed upon that, okay, then let's move on to the business value. Do we agree that this is the business value? Right. So you see how the core value starts with the core value, business customer value, and then business value. We all align, yes, yes, yes. Then everybody else, then you can align your goals after that, right? And remember, nobody wakes up to make the wrong decision. They just think they're executing differently. So what you want to figure out is how can we all execute together to accomplish what we said was important: customer value, business value, and it ties back to our organization's core values, which we all buy into. I always start from the basics. I don't know if that helps, but that's sort of how I do it.
Yeah, thank you. And it kind of took me back to, or I find it linked to what you were sharing earlier on the presentation about when you were explaining about like asking questions. And like, for example, asking who's taking the leadership on the roadmap or the goals on this product or this organization in general. Like, who's taking the leadership and why are we doing this, for example, or taking this decision or this direction. I guess even having asking all of those questions can also, if you're not the leader in this case, can also help to see where the problem is at. Maybe people don't know because they don't ask the questions of like, we took this direction because X reason. Maybe they
Right.
don't know, and maybe that's the reason of the problem. I'm just making assumptions. Um,
You
but yeah,
don't
I
know
just
unless you
wanted to
ask. Yeah, you have to
exactly.
ask. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so if you have any more questions, please send them on the chat again or in the Q&A. We still have a couple of minutes to ask any questions to Ronke. You can ask any questions about like whatever we have been talking about, whatever we share in the presentation, or even your own journey or your own personal problems or like challenges or like aspirations in this career. So don't be shy, send the questions. Even you can send them anonymously if you feel better that way, but feel free to send any questions. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you some questions.
Yeah.
So you were sharing early on about well, being a nice person again, like being a team member, listening. So I'm curious about how related or like if you can explain the role, for example, of empathy and understanding the user experience to have a successful product management experience. And not only on the user side, but also empathy within the team, as you were talking, between like different departments, the tech team, like the designers, you as a leader, and how that impacts at the end on the user experience.
So I think the pandemic has changed a lot of how we interact with each other. Not just your customer, but just even your colleagues, right? Your cross-functional partners. So with your cross-functional partner, you have to remember that we've gone with during the pandemic 2 years in some cases of not seeing each other. During the pandemic, you have to remember that there are some employees, literally some employees, Gen Zers that started and never had the experience of working one-on-one with a person with anybody, but it started by telecommuting, by working from home. So you have to sort of put yourself in their shoes, right? And try to help them, right? So I think empathy is even more important with not just so let me start from the basics. One of my values is I like to build people. Then if I build people, then I'm going to build products. What I mean by that, if I build the people around me, my cross-functional team, if I care about them, have empathy for them, if I care about if I'm invested in their professional journey and their personal journey, everything else is a piece of cake, right? Because they know I care. They're going to come to work and be their authentic self and they're going to care. They're going to build products and features, right? They're going to care and be invested, right? Same thing with your customers. Your customers also, their lives changed during the pandemic. They are trying to rebound just like you. And your job with your customers is to figure out how do I make them the heroes in their organization, right? So that they can keep buying my product and they can do their job and their organization loves them. So you have to kind of think about it from that perspective. Your customer, just like your coworkers, want a pay raise, they want a job promotion. How do you help them accomplish that? Right? So, and then if something is going on in your colleagues' lives, remember I said again, if you get to know them, you'll know this. You'll know they got to go take care of your colleague has to go take care of their husbands or spouses, parents. You'll know that. You'll know that they got to do that from 4 to 5 or something, and you'll make arrangements for them so that they don't miss an important meeting. right? The last thing they should be worried about is their career when they're trying to take care of personal stuff. Nobody should have to do that. You'll know your customers what day and time is better to talk to them. You'll know, and if you offer empathy, your customers will tell you what's going on in their organization. They'll tell you, oh, we're trying to, buy this particular product because we have these jobs that we're trying to accomplish, and you'll figure out how to help. But what's also really important about empathy is you have to really mean it and care, right? I'm not talking about just surface empathy. I'm talking about real empathy where you are like, listen, I'm suffering just as much as you are. Let's get through this together. Things, are really being honest and be like, I'm not, guys, listen, I know I'm your product manager, I'm your leader, but I'm going through this just as you are. So let's get through this together. So empathy means listening, being present, caring about your team. And honestly, to be a successful PM or even any leader, really, that needs to be at the forefront. So that would be my advice there. It needs to be at the forefront of everything that you do. But just remember, if you care about your team, they'll care about you. If you care about your customer, they'll care about you. So,
Thank you. Thank you for that. And I wonder, for like all the people listening right now live and people who will be watching the recording, most of them are students or they're still in college or some type of graduate program. So I guess it was mentioned several times in different ways how important communication is, and listening, of course, to team members, to customers. So I'm wondering how can they, if you have any tips on how can they're still in college, develop like this skill of cross-functional communication. Um, any tips, and if there's any other like important skill that they have to develop while still in college that it's not a technical skill.
um, so well, really any job, but as even more important as a product manager, communication is one of the most important skill sets you need to have. The reason is because you're like a preacher. You have to say the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. That's just the nature of it. In a large organization, I will have 10 teams that will help me to build a feature, just one feature, 10 teams. I'll have a say in it. Um, they all need to understand the why. Why are we doing this, Ronke? Why? Why is it important? What is the core value? What is the business value? How does it tie back to the organizational mission and vision? And you are going to say this more than 10 times. And you cannot be mad, right? Because they don't know. They're asking you, right? So, and it's the passion, right, for your product. You have to communicate over and over again the core value, the business value, the jobs to be done, the core value of the organization. Remind them again why we're all working together. You have to you cannot assume things. You always have to ask questions. As a product manager, you always so communication literally is like the number one thing. You have to um you have to figure out how to bridge the gap when you are faced with when you have a cross-functional partner that's like, no, I think we should do it this way, and you're like, no, I we're gonna do this. Your own designer and your own designer might be like, no, Ronki, I don't agree with you. This is what we should build for MVP. I think we should add more features. And then you got to work that out with your engineering lead as well. Your engineering lead may tell you, hey, I'm gonna have to incur a lot of technical debt with this, and I don't want to do that. You have to negotiate with them. That's product management, and you can never be tired of communicating because once you stop communicating, everything goes downhill after that. So, um, not just writing emails, talking to people. I personally prefer to talk to people because you can read a lot in the body language. Body language can tell you whether or not they're okay with what you're saying or whether or not they're not. People hide behind Zoom sometimes. They don't come on camera, or they do come on camera. You can't really read that, right? So people put things in Slack, in emails that, it's not necessarily how they feel. You know what I mean? It's just you meeting I call it meeting your representative, right? So I really just like to talk to people. Sometimes, I have no choice. It's on Zoom and it's a one-on-one, whatever the case might be. But I'm just going to tell you this, communication is just one of those. The last presentation I did in January, I believe I mentioned communication there. It's just one of those skill sets that you need to be successful, and you have to be good at it. You have to figure out a way to communicate with people, read their body language, send the emails that will really convey what you're trying to say, you know what I mean? And not rely on Slack, because people, you can't really have a fruitful conversation in Slack, right? Or chat. But yeah, really understanding, like, you know, how to reach other people. Don't forget, one last thing I want to mention to you, our brain is the most complex system, is the most complex system in the world. We are making 30,000 decisions a day. That's 30,000 decisions that we're making a day, over 30,000 according to scientists. But remember this, most of those decisions are non-decisions. We're literally just pushing things away and going, no, I'll deal with it later. I'll deal with it later. So try to communicate with somebody who's processing that kind of information. We all are. We're processing all those information every single day. We're making decisions about different things. So, and then of course, add the post-pandemic to it, add our personal lives to it. We're distracted. So you got to figure out a way to cut through all that.
That number will be stuck in my head. I didn't know the
Yeah,
number of decisions and non-decisions we make, which is a decision
yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. I was listening to a podcast not too long ago, and I was like, wow, it makes sense. We're making over 30,000
Yeah.
decisions a day. Yeah, that makes sense. So,
Thank you for that. So we have two more questions, and we only have like 5 minutes left. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask them. But before that, I want to I'm gonna share in the chat two links. One is the recording to the previous session with Ronke we had in January, which was about more how to become a product manager. So this is like a second part of like the lessons of being a product manager. So I'm gonna share the recording there. And I saw a question in the Q&A about, which I'm going to ask in shortly, but it's about differentiating product manager and project manager. So I'm going to ask the question, Nora, but I'm going to also share the link on the chat because we actually had a session last year with a project manager and a product manager talking about similarities, differences, and how they work together in an organization. So you can go ahead and check those out. But okay, so the questions are, if there are any important certificates in product management, and what are those in case there are any certificates one should take?
so for product management, I know that there are schools out there like Product School, um, that offer certification. There are also, um, just I would say do your research there and see what exactly they're offering. If your company wants to pay for it, then absolutely go for it. If it's something that you have to pay for yourself, I just would say just do a lot of research. It's like when people ask me, do you need an MBA to be a product manager? No, you don't. So do you need a product certification to be a product manager? No, you don't. You don't actually. But it's just, but if you do want to take those classes, nothing wrong with those as well. You can absolutely take them. But I would just say make sure that you do your research as to what what types are out there, what they offer, and things like that, and how much they cost. I would just say do some research there. But you don't necessarily need to be one. Um, People ask me, well, how can I demonstrate my product management skills? Create your own side project, create an app, build a website, do something, right? That way you can kind of talk about it in an interview, right? Because you have to, when you build something, you're going to have to make some decisions, just like you would as a product manager. You would make a decision about, what features you're going to add for the first release, what you're going to do to launch it, right? You're going to gather requirements. What are you know? what will make my app successful? What will determine its success? The KPIs, and on and on and on. And you can talk about that in an interview. So just kind of wanted to offer that there. So,
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. And I already shared the links for everyone in the chat. And our last question is actually a great way to end the session. It's an important and deep question. So it's coming from Ibrahim, and they're asking if you have any advice on finding something that you're excited and passionate about. Since sometimes, many times, and it's normal because we need it, the motivation might be salary. So apart from that, how can you actually find something you're passionate about?
so as I said, right, I'm actually looking for a job right now. The salary is the last thing I look at when I'm looking at a job description. Not that money doesn't matter, money matters, but I'm always looking, is this a job that I can be passionate about? Is this a product I can be passionate about? So the first thing I do is actually look at the job description and look at the product. What is this product? What is this company? And I also look at some of the feedback from the employees, right, on glassdoor.com and things like that. And the reason why is because if I'm not passionate about the product and I go there for money, I'm going to be miserable. So I always look, and the products and the ones that really get me excited when I'm looking at job descriptions are the ones where I can make an impact in the world, where I can actually impact somebody else's life for the better. That's me. That's sort of what I'm looking for. So those are the things that honestly that I look for when I'm looking for a job. And then I'll look at the salary after that, and then I'll make some decisions. But I'm always looking, how am I impacting the world if I go to work for this company? What am I doing to move the needle for somebody else and make their lives better?
That's amazing. Thank you for that advice. And it might mean different to you, Ibrahim, or for Ronke, or for me, what impacting the world means, which is fine, whatever you feel like it has a positive impact, but maybe find what that positive impact means. And then you can base your decision on that. I'm so sad that this session is ending. But I'm glad for all the questions you guys brought. And I'm super grateful for you, Ronki, and all your insight and tips for everyone listening. We will share, someone was asking about your website and some resources. We will post the link to Ronki's website on the event page. So that way it stays on as long as you need it for. So you can go ahead and check all the resources there. And if you have any questions, you can post them on the event page as well. And we will direct you to Ronke's side or to any other resource you might need. So thank you so much again, Ronke. Thank you everyone for listening, and thank you everyone for who will be watching this recording. I hope you have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.